everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Lightning has struck twice. A guy I never thought I'd get to interview ever again, and now here I am interviewing him for the second time in just a couple months. Phil Heath, 7-time Mr. Olympia, joining us from Colorado, I believe, yes?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Boy, I got my questions ready to go, so I'm going to get right to it.
Let's do it.
You can tell I'm a little more excited than the average run line.
Yeah.
No offense, other guys.
That's good. That's good.
First off, congratulations on still being one of only 3 men in history to ever win 7 Mr. Olympia titles in a row. That is still something you share with just Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney. No one else has ever done that.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Okay, here we go with my battery of questions. So I am reading, everybody. Going into the 2018 Mr. Olympia, you were certain you would win and tie the record of 8 wins, set first by Haney and then Ronnie. In fact, a whole lot of fans and media were equally sure that would happen. I was damn sure it was going to happen. We now know it did not. Was there a point, either Friday or Saturday, where you got a sense that Sean Roden might win, or did it come as a complete shock when it happened?
I would say Saturday there were some rumblings, and you've been around this sport for quite some time, and you know people can't hold water. So with decisions, you know what I mean, of who's ahead and this and that, everybody wants to know.
Right.
So the mannerisms from some industry people was a little off on Friday. However, backstage, you know, you always, as an athlete, want to see, or at least for me, my psyche says, when you take your clothes off, what do the reporters do, the officials, the camera people do? And if they don't have cameras in your face, then you're probably in deep shit, you know. But in my career, I've always managed to take the attention off of others when I'm getting oiled up and I'm starting to pump up a little bit, and people are like, there he is, let's see what he's looking like, let's see the conditioning, this and that. You know, you have people giving you high fives and shit, right. You know, like, wow, like, you're improved from last year. And then come in Saturday, and one thing that got me was the fact that the Olympia on record was supposed to be the scores were supposed to be tabulated on Friday and presented on Saturday, remember?
Right.
And I didn't see that on Saturday. So I'm asking my friends, I'm like, did you guys see that? Because the whole people's vote thing. And they're like, nah, but I know that the webcast was kind of shitty because we couldn't even see your routine. So now I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, it went pitch black. I'm like, during my 60 seconds? They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, well, that sucks because now people at home may have, you know, they're going to have their own opinion. So anyway, on Saturday, I'm like, okay. I really felt after Friday, I had it in the bag. I was like, okay, this is nuts. I mean, normally when I walk out on Friday to do my individual, I'm the last person that goes out. So you're going to get some people that are, you know, cheering, but some people that kind of boo you a little bit, you know, just to help you. Right. And anyone that's been in Olympia, that's always been the case. It's like, yeah, cheer, 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 and then boo, you know, we want someone else to win. Yeah. This year was not like that. This year, people were cheering. I got the videos. Like, I posted videos. Like, people were actually like, wow, you know, and I could hear it. Like, people say, holy shit, did you see that? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I did my job. I'm on the same wavelength with my coach, Honey Rambod. We thought that we brought it. Let's get in here. Let's go whoop some ass, get the fuck home. Yeah. I get back to my room. You know, Honey usually has me up till like 3, 4 in the morning. We're going over everything. And he and I both sometimes go online to see pictures and this and that and see what people are saying, just to get an idea as what the climate is, even if we think that we've done right. Well, this time, kind of like really relaxed. So going into Saturday, right in the early afternoon, he comes to my room, and it was right after he had saw Jeremy, and you know, Jeremy didn't place as high as we had hoped, and you know, but Connie had a couple of discussions, and you know, he was basically told that Phil's not in good shape, and he's not. It's very, very close, and we're like, what do you mean? Like, how close are we talking about? Yeah. Talking about potentially losing, and they're like, yeah. And we're like, okay. Wow. Okay, so that was a shock to us. So, you know, he just talked to me about it. He's like, Phil, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to fight. And I said, okay, yeah, no problem. I'll fight, you know. Yeah. I'm that guy. You know, I'll go ahead and, pose as hard as I can. So throughout that evening, I just knew, I was like, nothing is certain, man. Like, of course, now I'm asking, like, hey, like, what'd you hear? What'd you hear? And I was saying, not favorable things. I'm like, are you guys watching the same shit I am? Like, this is kind of weird. Okay, just, my whole thing is always having a good attitude check, meaning, like, when I played ball in college, my first college coach would say, let's say we're playing a mini game and I have the ball in my hand and my foot is like near the end line.
Yeah.
Well, he'll say, "Oh, out of bounds," and I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "What? Technical foul, you, this and that." And we're like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Oh, ejected." So then you're, what's the whole purpose of this, coach? And he's like, because sometimes even when you're doing right and someone sees things a different way, it's about how you receive that information and you don't blow up. Because you can make it even worse. So throughout the whole Saturday, I was like, it's all about attitude. You got to show the fans, you got to show the judges, you got to show everybody that you're hungry about this, even though you received some information that wasn't in your favor.
Yeah.
And I have to take my own advice, like, hey, a measurement of a man is not when he's on top, he's on the bottom, blah, blah, blah. It's not just bullshit. It was like, no, Phil, you were told some shit that you don't want to fucking hear. You're still a fucking warrior. This is your fucking title. This is your house. Don't give up.
Yeah.
So doing the confirmation rounds and this and that, and I was just like, wow, like we're doing the same freaking poses over and over again.
Yeah.
You saw it, right? It's
I
like,
was there.
you got 8 poses and we're doing like 3. I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird. I'm like, all right. I remember Dexter Jackson was up there, just in the distance, and he just goes, "Fight, brother, fight." And I'm just like, fuck, is it? And I'm like, dude, okay, this is not good,
Yeah.
So when they had it closed down, I was like, this is still mine until the fat lady is singing, until they announce his name. And then, I'll give Sean Roden credit because he didn't really freak out when I grabbed his wrist and actually said, no, you're going to go pose and we're going to battle.
Yeah.
But I also felt some energy from him, meaning like it was almost like he already knew. Because I can actually say I've had that feeling before.
Well, okay.
Huh?
Yeah, you must have had a sense on many of your wins that it was kind of inevitable. It was happening.
Yeah, and people are, and like I said, people can't hold water, so they're gonna be like, looking good, man, or do this, man, So of course he's excited, but I'm watching his mannerisms, and I'm like, he ain't shook, he ain't nothing. Like he's very, very confident, and I've had that feeling before. Like in 2013, I had that feeling, and I'm like, okay, well, Phil, just keep fighting. So obviously they line us up, and I just told myself, I was like, God, no matter what happens, let me be a professional about it. And, that's it. Let me just be thankful for what I got. I don't hear Bob Ciccarello's name in my favor, because I'm standing there and I'm just like, I don't feel it. And I was like, you're not going to have a shitty attitude toward this. Sean Roden didn't do anything wrong to you. The judges are going to do what they feel is right. And it's not like you haven't watched this happen to Ronnie, to Jay, and to Dexter. So you're just going to have to really take this on the chin, and it's going to suck. It's going to feel like someone shot you in the chest. So when he said, "and knew," I was just like, fuck, like that. It hurt. It hurt, and it resonated throughout the whole arena. People were really excited and stuff, and I tried to take a moment to like hear the crowd eruption.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God dang it, this happened. And, Sean and I embrace, and we have some nice things to say to each other, because at the end of the day, we're just two competitors trying to, win something, be the best in the world at something, and also bring money home for our families. Yeah. So, shout out to him, he did great. But it was unfamiliar territory. I haven't been second in quite some time, since 2010. So, I remember just looking at the girl next to me, and she kind of like threw it off, because right before they announced it, she was standing way too close with that silver medal. I was like, oh shit! Like, I'm like, okay, your position way too close to me. I got this. So then she put it around my neck, and I just it's like that. And then as I walked away, I had to kneel, on one knee and just give praise to where it's due. And I've had a great run, yeah. And I had to really make that about me and my creator and say, you know what, I'm just appreciative of this. So I touched the floor, and I was like, this is everything. This has been everything for the last 7-8 years, and over 10 years really in the making. Placing top 3, I placed third at my first Olympia in '08.
Right.
And I was just trying to have that moment, and it made out for a nice picture. Someone sent it to me. I was like, wow, that was pretty awesome. Someone captured that. But it was real emotions, and I walked off and I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And I'll just be honest, like, I shouldn't be happy.
Right. Why would you be happy?
It didn't fucking work out,
Yeah.
So
I mean, to me, you almost look confused, like you didn't know. You've been winning so long, you didn't know exactly what to do with yourself when you weren't announcing first. You took the medal and you went off, but I could see for a minute there you were sort of almost lost. Like, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? Because you didn't know what you're supposed to do unless you're winning.
No handshake, no raising my hand up. So I'm like, they're going to focus on the new guy.
Yeah.
So they're going to forget about me for the minute. I shouldn't just stand there looking like, hey, it's like, what about me? When it's really all about him.
Yeah.
So I just, like I said, that's why I had my own moment on the side. And because that's really the most important part. I trained really hard for that show. Obviously coming back from injury, that was really tough, but I make no excuses. I mean, I did what I felt was right. I felt I looked awesome, and it just didn't go my way. So, I didn't really hang my head. I was just shaking my head like, what the fuck just happened, dude? Trying to process this. But at the end of the day, I was like, there's really nothing to process. I mean, just digest it as quickly as possible so you can move on.
Right. So let's get right into it. Condition-wise, you were right on. I mean, the things that you posted, we actually have a picture. Everybody got that picture where, your back was to the audience and you're feeling the glutes and the hams, and everything was just so crisp and dry. Your condition was bang on. No one can say you weren't in condition. The only thing people were talking about was your midsection. And you have alluded to the fact that you had your double hernia surgery last year, but incisions from it did not heal properly, and that's sort of what led to this look. Can you go into that a little bit? What exactly happened after that surgery?
I think essentially what happened was I may have came back too soon. And that happens, like you don't know until you actually try, right?
Yeah.
And, we're talking about lifting heavy weights. We're talking about, heavy dieting, and you're reducing the actual tissue around your abdomen when you're getting ready for show automatically. So the quarter-sized piece of mesh it didn't hold, and then it was actually already creating separation within the transverse abdominals. And I had worked really hard on that because early in the year, people see me lift my shirt up. Everybody was like, holy shit, we saw him at Mangan's, headquarters. Yeah. Wow, he's showing V-taper. Everything is good. And then it was like, toward that end, when you're like super shredded, yeah, that things didn't feel right. But honestly, I still felt like I fucking had it. I mean, if I'm going to lose based off of transitions, then that's something that people are going to nitpick on. And that's basically what happened, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not going to discredit Sean, but I still have the fucking fullness, the all body parts still there. And it was more of a narrative of, oh, okay, this is midsection. It's like, but why is that overshadowing the conditioning? Why is someone using that as saying he wasn't conditioned? I could throw up pictures nonstop of me doing an ab and thigh pose in a still shot and show that my shit was on point. It's just someone else's narrative that, oh, well, this is the one thing that we're going to highlight to make everything that he's presenting a low light. And, like I said, I'm not going to discredit Sean. Like, that's not my job. But what I am saying is that I'm not going to sit here and act like my shit wasn't banging and it wasn't like I didn't improve from the previous year. I improved from last year. Yeah. And to say, okay, well, this wasn't good enough, then what is? Because that hamstring, glute, calf tie-in, all that shit, you could put my pictures up with Dorian Yates and Tom Platz, and that shit would be competitive. Mm-hmm. So that's like the oh my God shit that usually Mr. Olympias have. Right. And, if I'm going to lose and say, well, okay, your ab and thigh isn't good, because that's just what people were saying, I'm like, okay, then that's what I need to be told. So then that's something I can improve on and then move forward. It's not going to be, oh, well, I had people saying like, oh yeah, your side chest, your side tricep. I'm like, are you fucking out of your mind? Like, this is crazy to me. So, my arms are I mean, name another person. Me and Rolly Winkler on stage have the best arms in the world right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can't really. There's just too much to kind of go back and forth with people with. So I just thought, you know what, Phil, like your feelings are very raw right now because of what happened.
Right.
Your job isn't to go ahead and explain yourself to anyone. You had the hernia. It's not an excuse. The shit happened. I showed my doctor what happened, and actually, my girl showed it to him, and he knew right away. He was like, "Yeah, I wanted to go in and do that too, but I just thought that it would heal on its own, and it didn't." And these things happen, you know, like so. But I'm not going to sit here and act like my shit was garbage, and that's what the problem is that people's narrative was like, "Oh, well, since his abs weren't like Sean's, that he wasn't in shape." I'm like, no. You really don't know what the fuck you're looking at. And, I mean, you really don't. And, you know, I got splits in my biceps, triceps are fully striated, you know, forearms are banging, you know, I've got separation all the way from the hip on down with the quad separation and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really, what real weak points are we talking about here? That
just the midsection, that's it.
Yeah, and is that really a weak point, or is that just a flaw? Like a minor flaw compared to everything else that someone else brought that they could say he beats him in this particular body part, because I didn't hear anything else.
Right.
You know, I'm hearing the midsection compared to him. Okay, cool. But if that's going to be what it is, then are you telling me that we were even on every other body part? Fuck no, you're not. No. You're not. No one's going to do that.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's no discredit to Sean. It's no discredit at all. Actually, I thought he looked better in 2016. Compared to what I saw. You know, people are going to compare those pictures to 2016 when he played second to me. He looked better there. So, you know, I preferred his look there.
Yeah.
I remember what he looked like there, and I was like, fuck, this guy's looking like amazing. Like to me, he was more crisp, like from behind. Whereas this time it was like he got a lot drier to squeeze in that tight waist of his.
Right.
And that accentuated his greatest strength over my probably greatest weakness. So that was a great game plan, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I look at shots of him. I give the guy all the credit in the world. He's Mr. Olympia now. You can't take anything away from him. But bicep peaks used to be higher. I mean, he's had more of a fullness and more of a overall better shape and pop in the past. I think he sucked down to this extreme condition, and like you said, it worked out. He won. But yeah. I liked his look a couple of years ago. Probably a little bit better myself. Condition-wise, I think this is the best condition he was ever in, ever.
Right.
He sacrificed a little bit of pop for it.
Right. And that usually happens, you know, and a lot of people in our industry, and you've been around for quite some time, so you kind of get it. Actually, you do get it. It's like when you do get, you know, you drop in water hard and this and that, you're going to lose a little bit of that pop. Right. But you will be a little bit more streamlined and more aesthetic. So that, like I said, that was, if I could go back and say, how would you beat Phil Heath? Like, that would probably be the gamble I would go with, because it obviously worked. But yeah, I mean, credit where credit is due. You know, I can't cry over spilled milk. You know, I just have to look forward to this off season and enjoy time with my family and friends.
Yeah. So, do you need another procedure? Do you need another surgery to correct anything?
Yeah, unfortunately I do. A lot more intense, 4 to 6 hour surgery. Ooh. Yeah.
Damn.
You know, I mean, honestly, it was something that needed to happen anyway. It was something that I was already told that I was probably going to have to have in 3 to 5 years. But it just happened fucking sooner, man. Wow. So, yeah, I go in on the 18th of October.
Wow, what are they doing?
Just going over those 2 holes that I had from the previous year, making sure that's okay. Probably a bigger size mesh to overlap, and all the while trying to make sure that there's no scar there. So, I mean, it's going to take a longer procedure, obviously, and a longer layoff. So, you know, I remember when because Sean had hernia surgery, I remember he and I talking once about his procedures, way different than mine, but just about the recovery time it took him, and how he couldn't really go to the gym, and how he was upset. And I was just like, fuck, I remember this conversation now. We're in the car, I think we're in either Dubai or Kuwait, and I'm like, oh man, you're going to be stuck watching Netflix for quite some time. You know, not really being able to do anything. And you're gonna have to really take things easy, and that's always hard for me because I'm a diehard sports fan, and I love going to sporting events during my off season. So no crazy Denver Bronco games, no Nuggets games probably for quite some time, for at least a couple months. So that's going to really probably piss me off. So I'm going to have to find a way of occupying my time. But I have other business projects that can do that. So I'm just going to have to put my mind toward that. And also, spending time, with my girl. She sacrifices just as much as I do, being with me 24/7. So it's always important, and you know this, it's always important to reconnect with your spouse and to make sure that, the show is over. So, after this week, literally after this week, there is no more of these talks.
Okay.
Like in our house, it's like, it's not going to be, oh, I got to go to the fucking gym and I'm going to fucking do this and this and that. It's like, no, dude, like you're going to probably conduct maybe 1 or 2 more interviews and then call it good.
Wow.
And you're going to spend time with those people who love you and really just cleanse this whole experience out, because I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the more that you put into something and things may not work out, you have those emotions that are very, very intense. The last thing you want is to create damage with those people who support you and love you.
Yeah.
So I would rather do fun things. Like the other day, I went to Monday Night Raw, WWE, because I got friends that do it. They're in town. Let me go watch them and just do something fun that has nothing to do with bodybuilding. Fucking time, So those are the type of things that I'm gonna, take part in, and just be a normal dude for a few months, and then I'll still train. Like once I get healed up, of course I can't. I'd be lying to say I'm never going to the gym again.
Right.
Fucking gym as soon as I can, but I'm gonna have to really consult with my surgeon and do a lot of FaceTiming and stuff, like pictures and stuff, to make sure that I'm on the right path.
Right. Because you said you might have come back too soon last time. How much time did you let yourself heal after the last year's surgery before you started training?
Well, that day I was told to try to walk, for a long period of time. So of course, you're saying like 30 minutes. Here I am walking an hour and a half, on the treadmill, because I'm just fucking crazy. I'm like, I got to do this, man. Like, and then when, Cherie and I had some business to handle, and then I'm like, I want to lift these 30s for some curls, but I can only really do 10 and without any discomfort. So I had to really take my time, and then it became an issue where I wasn't progressing fast enough because I was just like scared to, like, if I touch this weight, I'm going to want to work out harder, and I'm going to fuck everything up. And then I just got, I wouldn't say lazy, but I was just like, I don't want to touch anything.
Right. So
I would literally get phone calls from the doctor and saying, "Are you doing what I told you to do?" And Cherie would be like, "No, he's not even going to the gym. He's getting his ass." And then he would say, "You can't be nervous. You can't do this." And I was like, "I just don't want to mess this up." But he was like, "You don't understand. If you just sit around, it's not going to heal fast. You got to get that blood flow." And I never had surgery before, so I was like, I ain't gonna lie, I was very nervous. I was very, apprehensive. So at that same time, I had some other business stuff going on. So, and I also had canceled the whole 2018 season, with appearances. So I gave myself an opportunity to train. And come January 1st, I was in the gym, hitting it hard and gradually building up strength. So when I had done interviews prior to the Olympia, I was lifting with actually free weights, and people were like, "Wow, Phil Heath lifting free weights, holy shit," And,
hell froze over.
Right, but I had to do it because that foundation that I once had at 22, 23 years old with lifting with free weights went away, and now I had to start all the way over with like 45 plates on each side, and then get to 225 on each side. And I was like, "Okay, can you do 315?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck." And then I'm doing that, and I'm just like, okay, wow, like it took me a while to get back up there. And then I started getting excited, and then before you know it, it was time to start the prep. So that's why I started doing 2-a-day workouts with Hani, because he's like, okay, look, you didn't have much of an off season because we were trying to figure out what was going to mess with your recovery.
Yeah.
So, we had a great game plan still. I mean, for what I went through, it was great. We executed very well. I mean, like I said, I was happy with how I looked. I mean, I had that combination that I was known for back, and it was just someone else had a body part that people focused on a little bit more than, and because that's been the narrative. I mean, no one can like lie and say that they're not. So at the same time, I'm just like, did I come back too soon, or did I not do hard enough in that recovery time? Probably all of the above. But, like I said, I mean, you live and you learn. And I have nothing but, positivity to say, like, at the end of the day, I still play second. And let's be honest, like, I was faced with, I think we talked about it the first time we chatted. I mean, it's not like I didn't have anything going against me already with the whole People's Champion thing.
Yes.
That was like the Ronnie Coleman 2004 thing, but this actually counted as a judge this time. So I don't think people realize, like, okay, that particular segment counted as a judge. So that's almost like going against the champ like 6 months out. So mentally going into that, I'm like, man, you got some work to do, man. Like, you're coming off an injury, you're coming off of this, and I mean, they put this in place. So the person that won it didn't even win the Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how if that counted as a judge, did that move Rolly up somewhere from where he would have been to third?
I have no idea, because, I mean, we didn't see the score sheets like we were, you know what I mean? Like, So I don't know how that worked out, but I do know that it was, from a fan perspective, it was like reading from what people that wrote me. They're like, wait a minute. So I didn't even like you. I wanted you to lose.
Yeah. But
the guy that won the fans' choice didn't win the whole thing.
Right.
So did we really root for him, or did we root for Phil to lose? So and a lot of people said that. I'm just like, well, all I know is that really got that belt. Sean got the Sandow.
Yeah.
And I got, some silver that I fucking don't like. So I have to live with that. And anyone that's watching, they can see I have a smile on my face. I'm still going to be humorous about this. I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm still living the dream. I'm still able to compete at a very high level. I haven't been out of the top 5 in any competition I've ever done in my life, at the Olympia, in any other contest. So, I mean, I have nothing to hang my head about. I've been in the top 3, other than one Mr. Olympia contest, and that was in 2009. So that's, to me, a great experience.
That was the bad tilapia year, I believe.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I'll say something about that real quick. Like, when you're, I really feel like, because I had to go back when I got back to Denver that year. Yeah. And I see a doctor, and he goes, I really think you were sick before you even left, and that just pushed you over the edge.
Wow.
Because you've competed, right? So when you're really lean, your immune system goes down.
Oh yeah.
Usually for me, like when I'm like, I usually say like on Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm developing like mucus, this and that, like almost cold flu-like symptoms, because you're walking dead, at that
Absolutely.
time.
You are walking dead.
Or you're walking dead. So then when you have that going on, all it takes is maybe like, a little overeating and then eat the wrong thing that's been sitting out. That's it. And you already have a bug, and that's what happens. So yeah, that year sucked. But you know what? The next day after the show, on Sunday, I was there training legs at Flamingo Golds, like not giving a fuck, man. Like I was like, because that's what warriors do, man. You go fucking train. Like you don't just sit there and bitch and moan and point fingers. I could have pointed fingers and been like, oh man, this and that. I was in that fucking gym right away. So, that kind of prepared me for today, to realize, look, man, like shit happens. You can complain about it. You can have an opinion about it. It doesn't change the outcome. You can't go back and change it. Only thing you can do is push forward.
Now, have you seen the various posts? There's been thousands of them where people are trying to give you advice. Here's what Phil Heath needs to do to fix his midsection and get the Olympia title back.
I think
There's any number of different theories that they have or
that's
solutions.
I don't want to use the word that starts with an R, but I think
yeah, we can't use that word anymore.
No, you can't use that word. So I'm going to say it's the most ridiculous, stupidest thing I've ever seen, because you don't know what you're talking about. You're using it from such an armchair quarterback position that you haven't spent physical time with me. Yeah. So if someone were to be sitting with me like the week of the Olympia and actually, or if I had been posting videos like a lot of other people have, like during the week of the Olympia with their shirts off in their hotel room, this is what I look like in the natural light and all this other shit, and maybe you have a different understanding. But since I don't do that, they're speculating, and a lot of the time they usually hear something from, I won't use you as an example, but someone in the industry that has a reputation, and then regurgitate that, basically copy paste what they say, because if you look at the comments, it's always the same thing. Yeah. And it's like you all are saying the same thing that someone else said. You're not looking at it from more of an objective point of view. I mean, I had one doctor and say, yeah, you shouldn't be taking this and you shouldn't be taking that. I said, actually, this is what happened. And it's almost like they don't want to believe you. And then he said, it's like, I didn't want to believe you until you actually corrected me with what you said. And I go, and you're a doctor. It's like, so that's where also, as the athlete, you have to understand that everybody's going to try to give you their own 2 cents. And honestly, I wasn't taking it as hate. I actually was taking it as like almost like a term of endearment. Yeah. Like people are just trying to give their own. They're just thinking, "Hey man, if you saw it, fix that, you'll win forever. Fix that, and you'll win next year. Fix that, and you'll win."
I'd say at least 3/4 of the comments I saw were people that want you to come back and get the title.
Right. So that was one of those things where I'm like, okay, instead of being upset that someone's saying something that you don't agree with, that they kind of don't have really good knowledge about, don't bash them about it. Think about it from a positive point of view. They're actually probably just saying this shit so you correct something that disallows you from winning, so then you can win next year. So look at it like that. So that's what I did. I looked at it like they were spreading love, not hate. And I had some people, obviously saying like, "I'm so glad you lost," you need to be humbled and this and that. And then I had some people actually say, I thought I would be happy watching you get humbled this way. And once it happened, I realized what type of warrior you were. You didn't complain, you didn't bitch, you didn't moan. You actually made a video for Sean on your IG that same night, congratulating him. And I go, that's who I am, guys. I'm sorry that you want to listen to everybody else's narrative, but this is who I am. Shout outs to him. I gave him his props then. I give him his props now. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to, if I see an image that I'm looking more favorable, that I'm not going to like the fucking thing, because that's just me liking something. Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and debate with anybody and say, well, I should have won based off of this, this, and this. I mean, I know what my stance was. It wasn't what the judges had picked, and I have to digest it and move forward.
Now, there's another big conspiracy theory. I won't make this all about the crazy crackpot theories going around, but we got to talk about a couple of them. So the other one that I heard a lot of was, this was the judges, as if the judges all huddled together before the Olympia or maybe after Friday night and said, listen, we got to make sure, we got to send a message to these guys that they got to have small, flat, tight midsections. So Phil can't win. We got to have Sean Roden win, and that's going to be, we're going to make an example out of Phil and show that it's all about aesthetics and tiny waists and I'm sure you heard some of this going around.
I heard a lot of that shit.
How ridiculous, we won't use the other R word, how ridiculous in your mind was all that?
I mean, I think it was just not right, because as an athlete, do you really want to hear this so much that you start believing that stuff too? And start distrusting the people that are judging you on the stage that's been awarding you first place for the last 7 years? I mean, you could let that get into your head really quick and be like, yeah, these guys are trying to fuck me. Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, they did what they felt was right. Now, I could play this game with you too and say, well, look at the ticket sales, look at the expo, look at all these things. Look at the digital media that was going into the Olympia. There was no signage of me in the middle. It was always Ramy. I was on the side. There was no signage going into the Orleans Arena with me, like chasing aid or anything like that, or at the airport, like in years past. But that could also be a budget issue, not a conspiracy. So that could be a lot of different things. But like I said, I could participate in that stuff and start saying like, oh, well, they said that the scores would be coming out from Friday on Saturday. It didn't happen, and people were using the app, and it wasn't working right, and people were taking the code and putting it online, and this and that. It's just too much fucking energy to be thinking about all this shit. You know, I think it's crazy. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's fucking bodybuilding and stuff. They fucking chose who they wanted to. That's it. If they wanted to send a message, they absolutely sent the message. They sent the message. But that message, I guess I'm still trying to wrap my head around what the true message is. Mm. But, you know, because when people are just focusing on that, the history of the sport, I mean, look at Ronnie Coleman, look at Dorian Yates, look at Jay. I mean, did they have the best midsections out of the whole damn top 6? No.
You know, this wasn't on my questions, but I'm going to throw it in right now. I've been to almost all the Olympias since 91, and I've seen several times where the winner should not have retained his title. Mm-hmm. It was clear cut. Someone else deserved to win that night, but they didn't. This was not anywhere near as clear cut a case where Sean Roden should have beat you. He wasn't that far ahead of you as some of these other guys who never won the Olympia were to the reigning Mr. Olympia at the time, yet they still lost. So this was the first time I've ever actually seen it where it was still fairly close. Right. Based on all the Mr. Olympias I've been to, you could have easily won that show.
Yeah, absolutely. I would predict, like, you know, I was going in thinking, okay, this is not a straight first victory thing. This is more like a 3-point or maybe even 2, whatever. Win's a fucking win. But to lose by 4 and then be not moved one time after prejudging, I wasn't moved once. They moved around me, and I was apparently down by 1 after prejudging. That's really weird in my own psyche because we all know bodybuilding, like, if you get moved around, I mean, they're jockeying for a position to try to figure this shit out. Right. Now it's like, as an athlete, what kind of games are this? Like, because as an athlete, you're thinking, okay, I'm not really being moved. They're moving them around me to get different comparisons to place guys 1 through 4 in this top group. Yeah. And I'm down by 1. Okay. All right. And, you know, like I said, I mean, my job is to compete. Their job is to judge it, you know. But I do feel like, you know who I felt bad for?
Who?
George Fair and Kai Green.
Really?
Think about it. There was more close battles with that, in my opinion, than this one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, shit, man. Like I said, no disrespect. You know, Sean, I mean, looked great. He did his thing. But I'm like, if I was Kai and George, I mean, I'd be like, seriously? There was one of those years that I should have got compared to this.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just me also as a fan. You know, like, I enjoyed that rivalry and everybody knows. But you know, like I said, I mean, I think immediately once I lost, everybody was, you know, they shared their opinions, right? But then it was like almost dissing him by them saying, "Don't worry, Phil, next year you'll win it," like Jay did in '09.
Yeah. So
that to me, people knew, like, this wasn't as clear as we want. Like, you know, we wanted you to lose, no question about it. As a fan, like, trust me, we wanted to, because what did people say? Even on your forums, what did people say? Oh, this is boring.
Yeah.
So now it's not boring. So, you know, they got what they wanted. So we have to see what the future holds with all that shit, and then obviously what my plans are too.
I mean, I said in a little wrap up I did on my little Ask Ron thing I did. I said Lee Haney. Everybody loved Lee Haney. Everybody. He was like, we adored that man. Okay, he was like a man's man. But everyone was bored by the 6th, 7th win. Everyone was like, oh my God, please, can somebody else win? And there was nobody really pushing him, so it wasn't going to happen. He was, you know, he didn't have the greatest competition. He didn't have anyone like him at his level, really, until Dorian came along.
Yeah, someone like Dorian to come along, yeah, to push him.
But I said, even by the time I started following sport in '87, people were already starting to grumble, like, Mr. Olympia is boring. It's Lee Haney every year. It's the same damn guy. So, yeah, fans, just everybody always wants to see something new.
And that's something I'd like to say really quick, Ron, is that, like, I don't, like, you know, I took a moment in time to kind of look. I didn't look here, but I looked to my right, where Sean was right here. I was looking to my right, and people standing up cheering in the snap. And I thought to myself, you have to also embrace this too. People wanted to see you lose, and they got what they wanted. you always said to the fans that you don't care if they're a fan of yours or not, as long as they're a fan of the sport. That made them excited. They were entertained. They felt entertained for that brief moment in time. They could have walked out and texted me later and said, "Oh, tough luck, dude. Come back next year. We know you're the best." But in that moment of time, they were fucking entertained. So, I can't be mad at that because I was there when Ronnie lost to Jay. I was there on stage when Dexter beat Jay. And I was there when Jay whooped all our asses in '09 and got it back. And I was obviously there when I took it from Jay.
Yeah.
So I understand a lot more than people know. I mean, I've seen the Olympia personally change hands in my favor too.
Yeah.
More probably, I think more than anyone else, essentially.
Yeah.
I was witnessing Ronnie's thing. I was qualified, but I didn't compete. But I witnessed that. I witnessed Jay. I witnessed Dexter. I witnessed Jay get it back and then get mine and then lose it. So for me, the lessons I've learned and the things that I've been able to experience, I had the greatest fan experience of all time.
Yeah.
You know?
The atmosphere was very, very similar this time when Sean won to when you won it for the first time in 2011, because 2010, a lot of people had been very upset that you didn't win it that year.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next year when you finally won, everybody was on their feet screaming, cheering.
Yeah.
And you're Phil. Jay was a fairly popular Mr. Olympia. It's not like people hated him, although there were people that didn't particularly care for his physique.
Yeah, but let's be real, Ron. Remember, when he lost, remember how they lost confidence in him? They said he was finished, he's washed up, he's this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people, man, they talk some crazy shit. So all for these new people that are watching bodybuilding now, go back and go back in these chat room forums and see what they were saying about a person who they idolize today.
Yeah.
Back then, oh, he's this, he didn't do that. I remember sitting with him in the car and he was like, man, like, I could just retire and, like, still be, I'm still a champion and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, but you got more left in you. Like, you're in your 30s and shit. Like, you should still go. And he did, got with Hani, came back, fucking killed us all. Yeah. Well, honestly, shit, man, he looked so damn good. But you know who looked good that year too was Branch. So,
dude, that was Branch's. He never looked like that again.
No,
before or since.
It was to me that was a great year. Like, that lineup was intense. So, I think personally, that win for him made his career because the comeback and the quad stomp and all that shit. This and that. Like, people still talk about this shit to this day. Yeah. So I think people will get tired of you and then you leave or whatever, come back, and then it's everybody writing me like, oh, it's the comeback story, Phil, don't get down. I'm like, guys, I'm not down. I'm just like trying to navigate life right now, like, because this is unfamiliar. But I do understand what a comeback story means. I do. I really do. But it just,
I can already sense less hate for you overall because now you're an underdog. Everybody loves the underdog, always.
Right.
And it's already starting to get, the show's only been over less than 2 weeks, but I'm already starting to get excitement, a build-up already beginning for next year. Like, they're actually a lot more people are going to be behind you trying to get your title back than were this year as you were going for 8.
Ain't that fucked up?
It's crazy, but that's how it is.
I know, man.
Nobody likes the champion.
I know. It's just so funny. Like, I've shared some of those direct messages on the Instagram and the things that people have said. I'm like, usually I'm catching hate mail nonstop, and people are just like, sucks, dude, or there's a couple of guys that are like, ha ha ha, and I'm like, okay, like, whatever, man. Like, I'm still on Mount Rushmore of all the Olympia champions. So at the end of the day, I have the privilege and honor to be able to say I'm tied with Schwarzenegger in something.
Yeah.
That to me is, I fucking went to go tan earlier before this, and the lady was like, how many did you win? And I was like, 7. She's like, how many did Arnold get? I said 7. She's like, oh, you're tied with Arnold, so don't feel bad. Like, you didn't get 8. Everybody knows who Arnold is. And I was like, I guess I didn't think about it like that. But yeah, people are already selling. It's like people are already selling the rematch. They're already selling. I'm like, all right. I just want to digest things and just kind of live normal before I have to, figure that part out because I still have to have surgery and stuff. So, and there's, like I said, there's some other things I have coming out in the next 12 to 18 months that, are very, very important. So both personal and business. So I've had to tell fans, like, hold your horses, guys. Like, we don't know what's going on because, the whole marketing behind this year, I would just like to know, like, how they would even try to market it next year with me involved. Because this year there was no marketing. There was none. No one can really refute that with me.
Well, I mean, you were going for a record, which was already, if you were breaking the record, I think that would be, if you were going for 9, I think that's a big deal. Tying 8, it's a big deal, but 2 other guys did it. 9 would have been like, oh my God, the all-time record. But I think this would be marketed as a big rematch because everyone loves rematches.
I know.
Like Rocky 3.
Rocky 3, man.
Gets his he goes back and gets his Mr. T, his title back from Mr. T.
Hey, woman, ever go to bed with real man?
Now, I would love to see. This is my dream Olympia next year. Who knows? I don't know.
I already know what you're about to say. Go ahead and say it. Come on.
Yeah, go ahead. You at your best again. Sean at his best. And Kai Green come back. Which, who knows? Kai doesn't know. Kai won't even know until like a week out from the show. Is he going to do it or not?
Maybe I should have the same approach then.
I don't think you're as mysterious and elusive creature as the Kai Green is.
Yeah. He actually DM'd me after the show.
Wow. What did he say?
He said nothing but praise. And very, very respectful, congratulatory messages, very inspirational, motivational messages. And, I asked him for his cell phone. I think we had exchanged numbers years ago right after Generation Iron, and then shit got fucking crazy, and then we're just like went our own way. But he had called, left a message. I hit him back. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people started seeing our interaction with each other on social media, and automatically are like, yeah, their dream Olympia would be, I mean, I hate to say it, they probably want to see he and I more than Sean, the way.
Those were exciting years, let me tell you.
Those were good years. But I honestly think that personally, I don't think it would be, and I mean this all due respect to Kai, it's just, what does he gain from it?
Yeah.
What does he personally gain from it when he has already executed or began executing his exit strategy plan, which has been going well for him?
Right.
So to do the Olympia is quite different than doing posts in the gym, big as a house, for your Instagram, Facebook, and selling your products. It's a lot different because his mind. I've been fortunate enough to compete very close with him for years. He has to invest everything into something. That's who he is, and that's how I am. So I understand the level of commitment that it would require him to even put his name on a dotted line and say, all right, let me put all this cool business shit and meeting all these amazing fans aside, training the entire year to go get something that I never got before.
Yeah.
So that's where, and I'm not trying to spoil it for everybody, but I'm just saying, I mean, logically.
I don't see him doing it. I
don't either. I just, he and I would be better off doing a guest posting together and selling tickets. People probably buy that shit too,
I mean, he's doing so well with all these other things going on. It would make no sense unless, it's his bucket list. He has to be Mr. Olympia before he dies. If that's the case, I could get it. But other than that, why bother?
Yeah, it's just different.
Okay, I hate to drag Cherie. That's your girl's name?
Yeah.
Now, she's made, it'll be brief, relax. I'm not going to throw her under a bus. But she's made a couple posts in your favor that a lot of people picked apart. Do you ever ask her, please don't post anything about me? Or are you happy that she's so much on your side, 100% has your back no matter what? I mean, that is you called her ride or die. I don't think there's any better way to describe it.
She's definitely a ride or die, and I think unfortunately what people do is try to subject her to negative criticism when really, I mean, she's just a woman that supports your man. Yeah. She's not out here throwing hate on anyone. She's just defending it and trying to shield me from it. She's been, body shamed. She's been called all kind of names. She's been DM'd horrible things that at times she's actually posted it and no one even cares to repost because who gives a shit, right? She has the perfect life. She's with Phil Heath. So no one's going to feel sorry.
Catch, Phil.
Right, but no one's going to feel sorry for her, just like how they don't feel sorry for me. Yeah. So it has a lot to say about those people that would take something like she could change. Like recently, she went from Mrs. Heath to Cherie Heath on her Instagram, and people were like, "Why'd you do that? Like, what the fuck?" And I'm like, "You do realize that still means that she's the wife. Like, use this."
Yeah. So
when she has something to say, I think what people fail to realize is that, number one, she's a human being. Number two, she invests. I don't want to compare her to any other spouse, but she invests way more than the average woman to her man. And is under a heavier microscope than anybody else because, let's be honest, ain't no other woman wanting to voice their opinion, her opinion, which is pretty fucking good, and then people want to jump on her ass. So it's like she ain't over here starting anything, just like me. I'm not over here really starting anything. It's just, hey, how could we fuck with Phil's mind? Let's go after his girl. And that's what people do, and they'll create a damn narrative and shit. I mean, people have done that the minute that her and I started going out, and it was very unfair. I mean, you had people really like, yeah, she's kind of like, really hard ass and this and that and the other. Why are you so fucking intimidated? She didn't do nothing to you and you did nothing to her. So I think what people have to realize is that she's empowered a whole new line of women because I see her messages, I see the posts. They are very appreciative to see a woman be able to love on a man like me and vice versa to me, show respect to a woman like her. So, like she can say something like when she had said, "Oh, you're not going to see him again." And people fucking took that screenshot and ran with it. They didn't really know that had nothing to do with the Olympia. It was more than that happened in our personal life. So like people don't understand that everybody's so triggered by what she had to say that they don't ask questions, they make assumptions and then go off and make things viral and then create their own narrative without one interview, without one question. And yeah, if anything, she's had to pull me to the side and say, "Phil, these people are worth your fucking time. Don't even try to explain yourself." It's not about like being defensive. It's just don't explain yourself because like they still ain't gonna get it.
Yeah.
But for me, because I don't do these interviews, that's why on my social, when people have said something, I have defended myself because I felt like that was the only way to get my narrative across when everybody else, whether it be you or people from different forums, they'll do reports. And because of my affiliation with AMI before, we couldn't do this stuff. Right. So you had to talk about what you thought you knew or what you speculated on. That's just
so much speculation.
Oh. That's what happens in sports. You go on ESPN and they say, "My sources tell me that," instead of from the athlete himself or herself. It would just be better if there could be less of that and more transparency between the two individuals involved. And that's something that her and I both have had to mature and grow from. But I say, going after this Olympia, her and I have grown tremendously well together. Everybody knows my love for her and her love for me, her support and this and that. But I think a lot of people need to even cut her and I some slack because I don't think they can live one day, let alone years, being in these shoes and being willing to take on. Because people will say, "Well, you're Miss Olympia and she's this, like she should act like this and you should act like that." It's like Bruce Lee said it best when he talked about, "Don't hold me up to your expectations because you couldn't hold yours against mine." So, and I think if more people lived like that, they would have less triggering moments to talk shit and they would have more love and positivity to spread because they say, "Well, I couldn't live up to Phil Heath's expectations, so why am I trying to tell him how to live his own life? Why am I trying to tell his girl, like, well, you should act like this, being who she is?" It's like, I've seen the stuff that you post on your own personal page. It's very disgusting, very distasteful, and you're trying to tell us how to act. 9 times out of 10, usually that's what happens. So our biggest thing is just to remind ourselves that as long as we're coming back at people with positivity over hate and being more genuine, if people can't take the truth or take, our honesty and our willingness to be vulnerable. I mean, we could both put our shit on private and not engage with anybody. There's plenty of celebrities that do that.
Yeah.
I could pay someone to post for us. I don't do that.
Yeah.
So,
that too.
So that's where I think we as people have to kind of understand, like, wait a minute. We got Phil Heath and Sheree Heath. I should be asking them questions on, like, they should be asking me questions like you're asking me right now. Since I already got his attention because people are talking shit about this Olympia, why don't I ask him about what is it like and this and that? No, they don't want to ask that shit. They want to follow the herd and go say something either negative or just a basic positive message. Every now and again we get some people that are very, very articulate and this and that. And that doesn't mean that everybody has to be an Aristotle or freaking Socrates and sending me shit that I'm going to pay attention to. It just means that, we do have a lot more positive than negative. It's just, I think what gets highlighted is the clickbait shit. People will take what we're saying, and that's the unfortunate part, right? Is that you and I can have a great conversation, and I say one thing, and some other person will critique what I said to you, twist it around, make a blog, and then make ad revenue on YouTube off of it.
Yeah. And
they do it as a shock jock, as a Rush Limbaugh. Like, anyone who paid attention to Rush Limbaugh, like, he's fucking all over the place.
Rush Limbaugh.
Howard Stern, like a Howard Stern, you're going to exaggerate certain things to get people to jump.
Yeah.
And the more people you get to jump, the more views you get. The more views you get, the more popularity you get. The more popularity you get, you might get some revenue share.
Yeah. I saw a lot of that over checking the YouTube over the Olympia weekend. I saw so much of that. It was revolting.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Ron, before you ask me.
Sure.
Do you feel that that's more selfish on their part? Because I do.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of these people that have these YouTube channels and so forth, I can tell some of them have very little actual interest in the sport or the athletes. They're certainly not, quote unquote, one of us, but
right.
They're making a lot of money off of ad revenue and clicks and views by exploiting mostly negative aspects, sensationalistic aspects of what goes on with the athletes and with the contests.
Yeah.
And that kind of disgusts me. I'm not going to name names. People know.
Right.
People can kind of make their own inferences there who I'm talking about. So I have one last question. That's it, because we've been talking almost an hour, and I appreciate your time. What has to line up perfectly in the stars for you to come back next year and get your title back? Or to come back? Because you got a lot of things going on. What has to happen?
Honestly, right now, I'm still trying to figure that out. The number one I have to figure out is the surgery itself and the recovery time. And then after that, I think a lot of things are going to fall into place as far as like business-wise. And then after that, there's a lot of conversations that need to be had. I need to understand, what is expected of me to come back and try to win again. I need to know. Because for me, I'm not in a situation where I'm not going to sit here and say my body's on the decline. I'm saying, like, I'm still in contention to win again, right? So I need to know wholeheartedly what is it going to take, and ask myself, is that something I can do, and or is that worth doing, as opposed to doing other things? So I have to really weigh things out. I have to know. I just feel like I need to sit at the table and kind of figure out, like, even how things are going to be marketed, because at the end of the day, now Phil Heath gets to talk about him as a business. If you're going to utilize my image and my likeness for the comeback, I want to know how that's going to be ran, because this is my brand now you're talking about. This is not like back in the day when, if you're being paid by, a magazine, this and that, they kind of own that. So, but now I'm not a part of that. So I need to know, what does that freaking mean for me? Because it can't just be one-sided now. It has to be, okay, what does that look like for Phil Heath? Like, are we going to do an interview? Are we going to put him in any situation along with Sean and with Rami and with Bonac? And what does that look like? And I think if I can't just go into this blind, because I'm not trying to win my first Olympia like a lot of the people are, or my second one if I'm Sean or Dexter. I'm trying to equal the greatest of all time. So with the world of social media, it would only be right for me to know, like, okay, I signed the paper, but I want to know how you're going to utilize this. because, like we say, that people create different narratives and this and that. I want to know if I'm okay with that as a person, as an athlete, because I have to, trust what's being written, said, this and that. And people could, some people are going to take this and be like, oh, he just wants to control everything. It's like, well, it is my life. It is my career, and I want to know what's expected. If it's saying, well, we will disregard your type of muscle and this and that, we just want to focus on abs and stuff. It's like, okay, well then I need to know that too, and I want to know how I can do that, and if that's something I can, then I will. If not, I'll just go back to the drawing board and figure it out. But I think I have enough time, to have these discussions, all areas. I'm available. Obviously, I'm available to talk with you, to talk with whoever, and I'm just going to put myself out there more, like now, because I think it's important, whether I'm competing or not, that the fans get to see more of me, they get to hear more of me, and they can hear what's really coming out, because eventually they'll start listening to this fucking narrative instead of everybody else's.
Yeah.
So I think it's debunking all the bullshit, and I think more people will start realizing, like, man, Phil's cool as shit, man. He over here with Ron Harris, we're chilling.
But you know what? There's no tone in text when you're reading something. Right. So I think people would read a lot of your tweets and Instagram posts in a certain tone that what they wanted to hear it as. This is the Phil Heath that they imagined. And when you do something like this, that sort of turns it all around where they see, oh, wait, Phil's not really, he doesn't sound like that. He's not a jerk. He's actually a cool guy. But I never gave him a chance. I never got to know him.
No, and that's what I appreciate you saying that, and I think that's what 2018/2019 is going to be about. Is like people, it goes a two-way street. Like fans got to engage. If I post something and you don't engage, then you're going to walk away with whatever, like you said. But if you want to have a chat and this and that, and you want to be an adult about it, I mean, I'll be 39 in December. Let's be adults about this shit. Like, you're going to get some kids that want to derail certain conversations and stuff. I would suggest that anyone that catches me, like on an Instagram Live or stuff like that, when I'm actually engaging with you and you see people do that, get them the fuck out of here, because I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help other people. It's like if you're in class and someone's being disruptive, you shouldn't just let that person just continue to disrupt the class if you're there to learn.
Right.
And I'm there to teach. I'm there to motivate. I'm there to help. Don't let these clowns mess this up for you, because I can't always hit the block and delete button fast enough. Get them out of here so then you can ask more questions. I can give more feedback. I can help people out. People have DM'd me more this year after the Olympia than ever with positivity. I love that. People have, send me their pictures. People ask me, like, the week of the Olympia, how they look and shit, and I'm over here like, this guy doesn't realize I'm here for the biggest show of my fucking life, but here we go. I think you need to work on your arms, and this is appropriate reviews, and this and that and the other. So he's like, what are you doing? Oh, just giving out a diet and the workout for this guy, I'm like, I don't know. He caught me at the best time when I was freaking nuts, right? But that's just who I am. I just want to help, and I think when people reduce their emotions based off of a movie or an Instagram post, social media post, or what someone else said, we can have some really cool dialogue, and I think that's where I excel at, because people outside of this sport that I interact with, I mean, I talk to executives of Fortune 500 companies, I talk to real people outside of this, and they all shake their head. They're like, if I were them, I would be, gimme, gimme, because you're the best. And I'm like, I know, dude, I'm here. So hopefully everybody clicks on MD, with this report. I really appreciate your time, brother. If I don't talk to you in the meantime, all the best. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll text every now and again, but I had a really good time, and I really had a great time at the Olympia, even though it didn't work out in my favor. But in the end, I do feel like it did, because I think a lot of fans got to witness history with Sean winning, and me, not winning and seeing what the aftermath looks like. This is a part of history, no matter how you want to look at it, and I'm just honored to be a part of it. The IFBB and NPC has been great. I'm just looking forward to the future and see how it entails and how my involvement can be.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for one last thing. It's the seminar Sunday morning. You didn't have to show up for that. You certainly didn't have to. You know, you could have easily said, "Oh, I'm not in the mood for this shit. And I don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna hide up in my room." But you went out and you faced the world because that was everybody had their Instagram live going, and you
Yeah.
know,
I didn't even notice. You know, it's funny. We'll talk about that for a second. I didn't even notice that was going to take place. I was talking to Dave Lee, you know, and then next thing you know, I saw you, and then there was like 30 people like surrounding us, and right then and there, you know, to be honest, I mean, I wasn't told to even go because again, unfamiliar territory. Like you didn't win, so you're not automatically invited until. So I was going to go to the gym at 10 a.m. I checked my email and they said, "Hey, we need you there." I said, "Okay, I'm glad I checked this phone because I would have been at the gym while you guys are doing this, but it was so great. I think that was something that I enjoyed probably just as much as the fans there. And, you know, I was able to, you know, what was cool is that I was actually able to connect with you guys. And, you know, I asked Sean, like, how did it feel? You know, and he can tell you, like, Phil asked me, how did it feel to win? What was it like? How much sleep did I get? Because I said, how much sleep did you get? He goes, none. And I was like, and I'm coaching him. I'm saying, you're not going to get any sleep for the next 3-4 days. Your heart is going to be pounding because you're like riding on adrenaline.
Yeah, wow.
He was like, you're so right. And then I pulled out my phone during the seminar and I said, hey, check your phone. He goes, what? I go, I followed you on Instagram, dude. Congratulations. And he goes, what? And I was like, I know it sounds corny, but I told you if you beat me, I'll follow you. So you did. Here it is. And then when that was over, he came by and he had his trophy in his hand, and I fucking did not want to look at that thing. And you know, and I just told him, I said, he was like telling me what it felt like holding it. And he's the only other person to hold the new one.
Right. It's bigger now.
So exactly, much bigger. It's like twice the size. So I told him, I said, you need to weigh it and take a picture with it because it usually weighs around 48, 49 pounds.
Wow.
And it was really neat because people were, as he walked away, people were like, you're taking this pretty good. I go, I want to know what he is feeling, not for self, but just to see his face, to see, like, he was so excited.
Yeah. And
no matter what he said about me or talked shit about me or his friends or his fans or this and that, man, at the end of the day, man, he got to experience something that only very few have. And for me to see the look on his face, I was like, I could take it two ways. I could say that was really cool, and I could say I want to wipe that off. But as of today, I enjoyed seeing that on his face. September 26th, you know, I really felt like that was neat because it's all about being in the moment. It's not about you. It's about acknowledging to me, I didn't feel like I was being celebrated very much. So I personally wanted to celebrate him because he deserves that. And I think every freaking athlete who wins something deserves to be celebrated accordingly. Not when you're retired and you're gone, but when you're a champ and when you win something, you should be fucking celebrated. So that's what I did for him. And, you know, I'm happy for him and his family. They get to, but now, like you said, he has the target.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be gunning for him now.
So it's going to be interesting to see who talks shit to him because everybody's been so used to talking shit to me.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. It's coming.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun watching it. So, yeah, no, thanks again, man. This is great.
So, you know, best of luck in the surgery, October 18th.
Thank you.
If it all goes well, take your time, come back gradually, you know. Please take your time and heal up right.
That's right.
I want to see you at your best again. It's not over.
I know a lot of people do, so I'll be posting some pics. Don't worry.
All right. Well, appreciate the time, Phil. As always, the second time I've been blessed with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
And yeah, I'll be following along to see how your recovery goes. And
thank you.
We'll all be. Let's talk again in a few months, maybe. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, sounds good. Sounds great. Cool. Have a good one, my friend.
All right. For the Ronline Report, it's been me with 7-time Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. Thanks for watching, everybody.